I recently completed a manuscript for a book called The Googleization of Everything. So my entry into privacy issues comes from the domain of search engines and the web in general. I think the most important principle when considering privacy law and policy is the sense that an individual should have some sense of autonomy or control in order to manage his or her reputation in the world. That means we should be concerned about giving individuals the ability to create a sense of dignity, to correct for past mistakes, to be forgiven for past mistakes, and to manage who gets to know what potentially crucial information. In other words, we should be able to determine who gets to see our Social Security numbers, who gets to know our credit rating. And every information policy law has to have that sort of value built into it. A sense of control, upfront, easy to use, easy to understand, with the default set for protection so that when people engage with Facebook or Google or Amazon, they are then presented with a set of switches that are easy to understand and they can then choose to release certain information in certain contexts. I think the most crucial, most important, most resonant privacy issues in the public sphere right now involve state surveillance. I think it's really clear that over the past 10 years, the United States government has taken great liberties with its own power to know more and more about us. At the same time, the government has made sure that we know less and less about it. This is a severe mismatch of power. To be able to gaze upon the other is to be able to execute some sort of power. That means we have less and less power over our government because we know less and less about what it does, and our government has more and more power over us. Our government can track our thoughts and our opinions, can track our library books and our web searches, can listen in on our phone calls without our knowledge. And all of this has changed in a remarkably short period of time. I think we've just begun to understand the full ramifications of this sort of change, but I think it's very scary. I think it's important for every citizen to understand the extent to which knowledge about them flows through different places in the world. People should understand what their supermarkets know about them, should understand what Amazon knows about them, and should understand what the National Security Agency and the FBI knows about them. In the 1970s, there was a huge citizens movement to make clear that the government could not abuse the knowledge that it had about people, and that we could find out what the government knew about us. All of that has been forgotten and lost in the last decade. And I think we really need to recapture that spirit, that we need to know more about the institutions that govern us, and we should be able to restrict what those institutions know about us.